It's July 6, 1907. Dublin Castle, which was the seat of the British Embassy in Ireland, was in utter chaos. For the first time in a long time, the area was cordoned off. Dublin police had been summoned from all over the surrounding area. Many of the high society's members walked around the castle, laughing and joking nervously, despite the overall panic that was ensuing. None of them could believe what had happened that day. They did not yet know that they were involved in the largest and most daring robbery in the entire history of Ireland. The Diamond Star and Diamond Badge of the Grand Master of the Order of St. Patrick were some of the rarest jewels of that time. The Brazilian diamonds on these regalia were of such a high standard that they were rendered absolutely transparent in clear water. It was not just treasures that had disappeared from Dublin Castle, but real symbols of Britain's power over Ireland. The Irish War of Independence would come only a decade later, but the theft of the crown jewels straight out of Dublin Castle was one of the sparks that ignited the powder keg of this uprising. The theft of the jewelry, which was estimated at $4 million, is still shrouded in a veil of secrecy to this very day. A lot of individuals, including not only high society but also ordinary housekeeping staff, have turned out to be closely intertwined in this story. But at the center of all these events is one particular man, Sir Arthur Vickers. Arthur Vickers held one of the most honorable positions in Ireland and bore the title of Ulster King of Arms. Occupying his post at Dublin Castle, Arthur Vickers was responsible for everything related to the heraldry and genealogical tree of all the noble families of Ireland. Any disputes over the title, inheritance, and management of the family's lands were resolved through him and his assistants. Vickers was, of course, very proud of his position in society. Back in 1896, the man was knighted, which allowed him to feel comfortable even in the presence of the royal family. Vickers' career seemed to be a flawless one. He was a prim and attentive to details type of man, who was the best assistant to the local nobility. But there was something that waited on Arthur in his post. One of his duties was to also protect the regalia, which would later come to be known as the gold of the Irish crown. The jewels were held in a safe in one of the towers of Dublin Castle, an impregnable fortress, impossible for an outsider to penetrate. The jewelry was supervised by a jeweler who was the watchmaker of Queen Victoria herself. He was so meticulous that he counted all the silver spoons before and after every reception of the royal family. Reinforced security, a high tower, and a strong safe, from which there were only 2 keys. Both were with Arthur Vickers. He always carried one with him around his neck, and the second was securely hidden at his house. Stealing the jewels would seem to be an impossible task, but later on, several decisive factors appeared that would later lead to tragedy. It all started with the fact that a royal decree came to Dublin Castle. The safe with the jewelry was to be moved to a specially equipped room within the depths of the castle. Arthur was not at all happy with this news. He was more interested in heraldry, and looking after jewels was just a burden. Vickers would have gladly shifted the responsibility to someone else, but his title did not allow this. Chaotic attempts to move the very heavy safe around the castle ended in failure. Due to its large dimensions, it could not pass through the doorway of the specially equipped room. Vickers arrived in a rage and ordered the workers to expand the opening or demolish the entire wall. But the reality was that after its construction, the wall could no longer be demolished, and it would take a very long time to carefully widen the opening without destroying the walls of the old castle. Replacing the safe itself with a smaller one was possible only by signing hundreds of documents following their consideration by the royal family. The now upset Vickers decided that there was simply no need for all this red tape. He ordered the safe to be moved to the library and had guards put on it. Then he returned to his immediate duties. Days passed. The safe was still in the library, and no one seemed to care. There were reasons for such disregard on Vickers' part. First of all, the inhabitants of the castle were preparing for the arrival of King Edward VII in Dublin. For Arthur, it was a rather stressful ordeal. He was forced to deal with a whole mountain of issues and various problems. But the second life lived by the owner of the castle, with all its dirty secrets from the whole of high society, turned out to be the key circumstance. Arthur Vickers, knighted King of Arms of Ulster, did not only attend to his duties, but also indulged in revelry. Extravagant feasts, gambling, and other depraved forms of entertainment. What's more, all this took place right within the walls of Dublin Castle. Many people knew about this, but when a person has untold wealth and power, people are forced to turn a blind eye to their sins. Thus, all of these factors triggered a chain of events that ultimately led to the biggest theft in Ireland's history. The summer of 1907 will forever go down in British history as the time of unrest in Dublin Castle. On June 28th, Vickers discovered that the key to the front door of the tower, where the library and his office were located, was missing. In the confusion prior to the arrival of the king, the man did not attach any importance to this, and the guards willingly let him in without a key. An important detail here is that the library in which the safe was located was also the waiting room for Vickers' reception. Every day, a whole stream of people passed through the room with the safe, but Arthur did not attach any importance to this either, relying instead on the vigilance of the guards. Additionally, even the most daring robber would not have dared to crack the safe right in front of everyone. Then, on July 3rd, Miss Farrell, a housekeeper, noticed that the front door of the tower was not locked. She immediately reported this to the sentry, but Vickers, having learned about this, did not check the safe, nor did he even bother with strengthening the guard. He was too busy with his own affairs, and even then many were surprised by the sheer disregard displayed by such a stiff and meticulous person. 3 days later, Miss Farrell, while cleaning the office, discovers that the vault, which did not fit the safe, was unlocked, and the keys were left hanging in the keyhole. The woman went back to the guards to report this. On the way, she encountered a messenger named William Stivey, who decided to go examine the vault. Stivey didn't find anything suspicious, but he reported it anyway. Vickers and his people, absorbed in their work, just waved the man away and went to their office. Arthur didn't care about any of these problems with castles, as the king was set to arrive at any given day now. Later, in the afternoon, couriers bearing some valuable cargo arrived at Dublin Castle. Said cargo was a gold necklace that the jewelers made several changes to for the upcoming visit of the royal family. They gave the jewelry over to Stivey. Arthur Vickers, not looking up from his work, took the key from his chest and ordered the messenger to put the necklace in the safe. The man was terribly excited. His boss had never allowed such a thing before. With trembling hands, the man inserted the key into the key well, but it wouldn't turn. The messenger, now frightened to death, turned the key in the opposite direction and the door locked. This could mean only one thing. The safe was already opened before he had arrived. Stivey rushed over to Vickers' office as fast as he could and told him that the safe had been opened. Arriving at the safe with his heart already sunk, Arthur opened the door and practically stopped breathing. All the jewelry, even the personal jewelry of Vickers' mother, which were kept in the safe for security reasons, were gone. Dublin Castle was immediately engulfed in chaos. In the shortest possible time, a detachment of police officers arrived, but they found no traces of any forced entry. The boxes containing the regalia were neatly folded back into the safe, as was the parchment that wrapped the jewels. The blue ribbon removed from the hook of the diamond insignia clasp was still intact. It would be very difficult to unhook it quickly without tearing it. Judging by how neatly everything was done, the robbers had certainly felt at home there. Since Vickers had both keys, he automatically became an object of increased interest with the police. Suddenly, Arthur began to laugh it off and claimed that the missing regalia would reappear in the safe within a couple of days. He was sure that the robbery was just a prank being done by a close circle of friends. The fact is that on the night before the theft, Vickers had gotten very drunk and passed out right in his office, so his friends could have taken the key for a while. But King Edward did not share the same optimism as the owner of the castle. He assembled a commission of inquiry and sent an investigator from Scotland Yard over to Dublin. Images of jewelry were sent to newspapers. The whole capital was buzzing with sensational news about the theft. The Dublin police shrugged their shoulders, but the agent from Scotland Yard was sure that those who had power in Dublin Castle were involved in the robbery. However, in a strange way, the commission did not investigate the theft, but focused on whether Vickers had been taking care of the jewelry properly. Later on, King Edward issued an order to deprive everyone involved in the robbery of their powers, including Arthur. The man refused to sign and demanded a reinvestigation in order to keep his title. This was refused. A trial even took place without his presence. Disgraced throughout all of Ireland and Britain, Arthur Vickers had now hit rock bottom. He devoted his entire life to this, for he could no longer imagine existence without his post in Dublin Castle. Information regarding the theft of the crown jewels brought about a strong reaction among the people. For many people in Ireland, this was a sign that the absolute power of Britain in their country had been shaken. The most impregnable place in Dublin had been robbed, signifying weakness within the entire regime. At the same time, hundreds of people responded to the announcement of the reward in the newspapers. Vickers was in such despair that he even listened to one woman who claimed that the treasures were hidden in one of the graves of the Dublin cemetery. Naturally, they were not there, but Arthur was fiercely criticized for excavating the graves. The hype around this case had a significant impact on the status of power in Britain. By order of the king, all information concerning the theft was turned into a myth, after which the case was completely hushed up. The missing Irish crown jewels were never found. There are many theories regarding how the treasure went missing. Some are sure that the treasure had been stolen by Lord Haddo, a well-known lover of antiques and a friend of Vickers. But the man had an airtight alibi, since in those days he had not even been located in Dublin. According to another popular version of the story, the regalia was stolen by Francis Shackleton. This man was a friend of Vickers and had connections in very high circles. But Shackleton was notorious for his dissolute life and association with men. According to rumors, it was he who drank with Vickers the night before the theft. However, Shackleton was in extreme debt and spent the rest of his life in poverty, which wouldn't fit with a man who could sell the stolen jewelry for millions. Another theory regarding Vickers' mistress also failed to stand up to criticism. There is one opinion that the jewelry was stolen by a public organization that defends Ireland's rights to independence. It's likely that the theft of the regalia was one of the first high-profile heralds of the coming war. Or perhaps Vickers himself had a hand in the crime. Which version of the story do you lean towards? Share your theories in the comments below. Also, don't forget to give this video a like and share it with your friends.